In this lesson, we'll be using the align dimension command. Here's where we found out if anything we did at all is accurate. It's dimension time. Dimensions in Revit are just as much of a tool to help us lay out a building as they are a means to convey information to the people reading your plans. In Revit, you can't type over a dimension. This is a good thing, trust me. Once you start dimensioning, you will find that Revit hates to report inaccurate information. As a matter of fact, it's nearly impossible. We can type in a dimension and have an object move into position. That's good, right? The objective of this lesson is to add align dimension to our plans. Open the file you've been working on or open the file called Chapter 6 and follow along. In the project browser, make sure you're in Level 1 under Floor Plans. Let's zoom in on the East Addition and let's look at the top of it. The objective is to put a string of dimensions across these walls and to put a main dimension across the top of it. So we have a bunch of minor dimensions and one major dimension. The dimension we're going to use is the align dimension. The align dimension is quite popular. It can be found in two places. If you go to the Annotate tab, you'll see the align dimension is right here. Also, it's on the Quick Access toolbar. Remember, anything you want can be put on the Quick Access toolbar by right-clicking and adding it to the Quick Access toolbar. Let's get started by clicking the Aligned Dimension button. Let's look at our options. We can select the justification of our dimensions. Let's go to Wall Faces. For pick, let's do entire walls. Let's go with options. So in our options, select references. Openings, we won't have them, but let's click on intersecting walls. Click OK. Now what we do is just pick one wall and move our dimension up. Hit escape a couple times. Boy, that's productive. Let's zoom in on this dimension. The lines look very thin. I think it's time to turn our thin lines off so we can see how the dimensions really look. Let's grab the 1 foot 7 1/8 inch dimension and check it out. We can lock it, or we can kind of move this out of the way. If we pick this grip, Revit's going to actually leader it in for us, which is kind of a cool feature. 6 1/8, we can do the same thing. We don't need to go all the way down the row to do it. I just want to show you the functionality. As a matter of fact, I'm going to move this 6 1/8 inch dimension back in. The next trick is to put a dimension along the entire wall. I'm going to go to Aligned again. I'm going to go to Wall Faces. I'm going to pick Entire Walls. I'm going to go to my options, however, and uncheck Intersecting Walls and hit OK. I'm going to pick this one wall and I'm going to bring a dimension up. Congratulations, it's 100 feet. That's always a relief. Now that we've got those dimensions out of the way, let's look at how we can really use dimensions to help us lay stuff out. Let's come down on this area here, and I'm going to hit escape a couple times. Let's place a door in this wall. So if we go to the Architecture tab and click on Door, let's scroll down till we find Double Flush 72 by 84. Let's place it in this wall, but let's deliberately place it off-center. Hit escape a couple times. What we're going to do is place 3 dimensions. Go to your Align Dimension button, and this time we're going to pick individual references. Let's pick this outside face, and see what's happening is Revit wants us to pick another point. We're going to pick the center line of this door, but keep moving along with your dimensions. Revit wants us to pick another place. So come down here and pick the inside face of this wall. Notice again that Revit wants us to pick another spot. Go ahead and just click down in here, and this tells Revit we want to terminate the command. Don't hit escape though. If you see this dimension, you see there's blue items, and you see one thing out here. This is the EQ button. Go ahead and click that. What's going to happen is that's going to toggle that door to equal constraints. Now you can hit escape a couple times. What a great tool to help you model. I'm going to right-click on the EQ dimension, and I'm going to uncheck EQ display. Now we can have the 8 feet. It's still equally constrained, but we're relaying that information to the people building. Let's put one more dimension in here. If we click the Align Dimension button, click on the outside face of the wall, and click all the way down here, and pick a point right out here. Notice when you get close to the dimension, Revit will snap it into place. Hit escape a couple times. Now let's move on to some harder dimensions. Over in here. I'll fully admit Revit's not the best for angled dimensions, but it's going to work out just fine, trust me. Okay, we want a dimension to come off this wall in this direction. Not the easiest thing to do. There's a lot of tabbing involved. Here's what you have to do. Zoom into the intersection. And then hover your cursor right over this little joint. Hit the tab key several times until you get a little black dot, just like that. Pick the black dot and the walls are going to turn blue. Come down to this intersection and do the same exact thing. Hover right over that intersection, hit your tab key until you see the little dot. Now pick it. Now what's going to happen is your dimension's going to form. And pick a point like right about here. Hit escape a couple times. This isn't the best location for a dimension, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select it. I'm going to pick this grip. And now you can kind of move it to wherever you need to. So I'm going to roll in here. I'm going to go to the outside face of that brick, which is where I like it. I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to do the same thing. Make sure you're at the right spot, though. And that's our dimension. Let's check out the properties of our dimension for a second. Go ahead and select this dimension. Like anything else, we have typical properties for a dimension. If you click on Edit Type, we have many, many more. As I explained, as I hit Escape, anything we choose here is only for this dimension we have selected. Once we enter the Enter Type dialog, this is going to affect every dimension of this type in our model. Suppose we don't want that much of an accuracy. Click Duplicate. Let's call it Linear 3/32 Aerial 1/2 inch. Hit OK. Now let's scroll down until we see Units Format. This is to a 32nd inch precision. Click this button, uncheck Use Project Settings, and let's set this to the nearest 1/2 inch. Hit OK. Hit OK. Hit Escape. So, dimensioning in Revit can be tricky at an angle, I know, but I believe that the functionality pays off tenfold in the long run. Congratulations, you have just completed the most common use of the dimensions in Revit.